Hi, I'm James Matthews-Paul, here with PrintingNews.com, live from Graph Expo 2016. I'm with my good friend Nick Benkovich from EFI. Nick, I think your job title's changed a little bit since I last saw you, Senior Director for Portfolio Product Management for Productivity Software, is that right?
Absolutely.
And productivity software, that's got about 32 different endpoints, is that right now?
Yeah, it's a crazy large portfolio of products, but really think of it as the hub of your business. It's the MIS, the web to print, and all of the functions that happen in production.
Okay, so MIS and indeed workflow software. We've been talking about this in the press for a long time, trying to encourage adoption, and so I don't suppose there is a printer really on the face of the planet that hasn't heard about the potential benefits. I guess, what do you think the role of MIS software within a print shop is these days, and how is it relevant?
Yeah, I think if you go back, MIS isn't new, as you say. It's been around a long time. I think it's more from being really the job registry and the financial part, which is what it's always been. I think it's grown into more than that. I think it's about our customers really thinking about what is their business doing today, what is it doing tomorrow. It's more of that analytics, more of that business intelligence, which once upon a time it was really just accounting and job tracking.
And in Productivity Suite, what kind of analytics can we expect to see?
Yeah, I mean, really, I want to know, what are my most profitable customers? What are my most profitable product lines? Do I really make more money out of digital printing than offset printing? I've got a classic example of a customer I went to visit who talked about, I'm going to get rid of my digital press because it doesn't seem to be running all the time, but my offset press is always busy. When we did the analysis, actually turns out all the money they were making was really in digital. So it's really about digging in. Is this a profitable customer? Is this a customer I really either need to change my pricing on or fire? Do I need to change the mix of my products? That's the intelligence we need.
Okay, and so I suppose that one of the issues is that if you've already got that sort of software backbone, then it's easy to see how those analytics can work for you.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, if you don't have any kind of software workflow, then it's a little bit of a step, isn't it? So what would you say to those users who maybe are thinking, yeah, I'd kind of like to get into this, but I don't want to do the downtime, or I'm not quite sure about how it's relevant to me?
Yeah, I think, one of those things is we spend a lot of time as we've gone forward. We're in that second generation, that third generation of MISs for a lot of customers. I think it's really about having us come to you with a plan, looking at, I think as so many customers today don't actually understand what their workflow is, sitting down with them saying, what is your workflow today? What would you like it to be? And what would be the key performance indicators to get you there? And then creating a phase plan, so it's not, okay, shut the doors for 2 weeks and we'll come back and we'll be ready to go again. It's not the local cake store. We have to keep our businesses running, and so there has to be a great transition plan.
I suppose one of the fear factors may also be the lack of human interaction along the process. I think printers feel like they're more in control if they've got that first-hand observation of the job going through its process.
Yeah.
And they might feel that that workflow automation is taking all human interaction out of the process. I mean, do you think that we are anywhere near a kind of a lights out automation stage?
Oh, yeah, the magical lights out we've all heard about for many years. Look, I think it's for certain customers and certain products, it's a reality. For simpler products, if I'm doing simple brochures, flyers, business cards, they're turn and burn type products, and they really are lights out. For someone planning a very complex, magazine, if I'm doing printing news, if I'm printing printing news, I don't want that thing to be completely lights out. I want someone's eyes on it. But, I have a product that has some margin in it that I can justify spending time. Those quick turn products, I want to just be able to do that, really turn them through and not have any engagement.
It's almost like wiping the slate clean and then thinking, where do I want to inspect along the line?
Absolutely. And it may be different in different jobs. For some types of work, you may have an inspection point literally before it goes on press. And in others, there may be multiple inspection steps along the way and engagement from both you as the print service provider and also the customer. You've got to think the buyer interaction at different stages as well.
That's a really good point. Speaking about buyer interaction, I think one of the most appealing elements of MIS and of having that software integration within your print house is also meeting people's CSR policies, especially with retailers. And could you tell me a bit about the ecological considerations of and benefits of being able to have a software workflow?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around the industry a long time. I remember the bad old days, we used to make proofs everywhere and we courier them across town, and there was not only a time delay but an environmental impact. How many proofs am I making, the chemistry, all of those things, plus the transport costs and the impact of the environment. The world we live in today is really about real time. I've got young children, and we're living in the now generation. I want it now. I want to be careful. I want to be green. I want to be sensitive to the environment, and leave something behind for the future generations. And I think our customers are very focused that way. It's not only do I have to turn this job fast, but I have to be thinking about the impact that I leave.
And not creating waste while you're doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge.
So just to ask you, if you were to put yourself into the mindset of a printer coming to Graph Expo, what would you be looking for?
I think the number one thing I'd be looking at is how do I take the jobs I'm doing, the products I'm doing, and take the touch points out of that where I can. I'd be looking at investing in technology that allows me to grow my business and diversify. If I'm a general commercial printer, what could I be doing that's different? How do I take costs out, touch points out of my process? But how do I diversify my business and take a larger share of a customer spend? I've already got this customer, I've got a relationship, I hear this all the time. I've been doing business with for 20 years. How do you get more of their spend? Because they're buying banners, they're buying digital print, they're buying something else. How do you get that spend? So looking at what are the opportunities for me to diversify? Okay,
and last question, what piece of advice would you give to a printer looking at how to optimize their business over the next year?
Oh, I have to start with, actually a really good friend of mine wrote an article recently, and I love this. Start with, what does the workflow look like today? And I think this is one of the areas where people fundamentally don't understand. I see this time and time again. Get the people in a room, get the owner of the business, get the production manager, customer service, get these people in a room and document what it is you do today. What is our current workflow for different types of products, and where are our pain points? It's amazing how you can suddenly identify the big gaps. That's where you have to go solve.
And sometimes just visualizing it and keeping it simple is the first place to start.
Absolutely, and then we start, we do this with our customers all the time. Then we go in and say, okay, so here's the state we want to get to. How do we transition together? And what are the measurable gains? If I could do 10% more business, if I could do 30% more estimates, what's the thing that would make it important to you?
That's fantastic advice. Nick Benkovich from EFI, thank you very much for joining us at Graph Expo. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, my friend.